Hey, what's going on everybody? This your boy Tyshawn, aka coldlabz on social media. In the last video, we downloaded GIMP, got it installed on the computer, now we're ready to go. So in this video, we're going to go ahead and create the sprite sheet for the video game. I know some of you guys are probably wondering, what is a sprite sheet? It's easier just to show you guys versus talk about it, so let's go to Google. So if you guys ever played the old Mario games and the old Sonic games, you notice that they had animations. They're running, they're jumping, they're climbing, they're shooting fireballs, they're doing all that. In some kind of way it's happening, so it has to be an explanation behind that. So if you click on images right here, you'll notice all these different animations that Sonic is performing. Click on it again, it's going to bring it up. A lot of different things, right? A lot of different animation slow poses that Sonic is making, and all of this is what was created in order to make him perform these actions in a video game. This is a 2D sprite sheet, a 2D game such as Mario and Sonic. I know this is a whole bunch of different items on here. We're not about to go through all this stuff. So let's go to the top of the page. On the right hand side, click the X so we can get off of Google. Now I need you guys to go down to your search area and type in GIMP 2 and bring that up. Seeing that GIMP 2 is loaded, let's start by making a background for the game. The background size typically for a lot of devices is 800 by 600. So go to File, click New, let's type in 800 by 600. So width is 800, height is 600. I'm gonna make this look kind of okay. Okay, now let's go down to our right hand side. You see this little page right here? We're gonna click on that and make 2 pages. So click there, hit OK, click it again, hit OK. So now we got 2 additional layers to that background layer. Okay, so instead of deleting the background this time, let's go to our bucket fill tool and let's hold on to it and go down to gradient. So next thing we want to do is change the gradient. If you go down to here in this area, you can actually choose what type of gradient you want. You got foreground and background, foreground and background. You got different types of foreground. You got to even transparent. But in our case, we want to just use custom. So we go to click on custom and then let's drag it from like top of the screen to midway. And you notice that the background is no longer all white. If you go over to the right hand side and click on where it says color and the box where it says endpoint, you can actually change the way that this looks. So let's go with a sky blue looking color. Sky blue for this side, then go all the way up to the opposite side of this line. It should be on top now. Click there and we change that from gray looking to like a different color. So we can actually go with like, instead of it being red, let's go like down to like slightly like dark red. So now we got that. The next thing we want to do is click on none. So that's the very first layer of our background. Let's make a second layer. Let's like draw some trees or something. Alright, for the trees, let's change the actual size of the pencil. Let's go to the pencil tool real quick. Let's change that size to about like 25. And we're going to just kind of just drag the mouse across a little bit, all the way across, just wiggle it. And then after that, let's go back to the left hand side and draw like some small trees or something, or like mountains, like some type of dark shading or something. So as we fill this in, it gives a little definition to the actual game that we're going to make, because we're going to create like a little background to go along with it. So we're just going to make this real fast. After that, for this in, we're going to make like a moon next. Alright, before we make that moon, let's go back to the actual background. Let's take that pencil that we was using, let's go like a sky blue color, so we can make it as if it's the water. What we could do next is change the opacity. The opacity is going to be on the left hand side. You see where it says pencil, then it says mode normal. If you go to opacity, you can actually lower that from 100 to like 50 or something, so it can actually be faint versus right on the entire document itself. So make sure you clicked on the background on the right hand side, and then let's start drawing like halfway across it and everything. This is to get an image of slight discoloration for our video game's background. Now that that's done, let's go to the third one. It should say layer number 1. So now let's make like a moon like we mentioned before. And seeing that this world is kind of awkward, let's make this moon kind of awkward as well. Let's go over to the pencil. Let's change the opacity back to 100. Change the size back to 1. And then let's draw like a crescent moon. It's not perfect, but close enough. Let's go to the select tool right here. Let's go to the paint bucket and fill it in with white. Alright, so now we got our awkward looking moon reflecting on the water. Let's go to the select and hit none. On top of layer 1, let's use that white pencil and change the size to about like 5 or something, and then let's just start drawing at random spots to like make like little stars or something. I don't know. So now we got little stars everywhere. You got the moon, you got your background. It doesn't look the greatest, but I mean, we're using the mouse to draw, so it's okay for now. So now let's save this background. You go to the top where it says file, click on save as. It says untitled.xcf. You want to save it to your desktop so you can easily access this. Let's change the title to this to BG because it's simple to remember. So now you have bg.xcf and hit save. You also need to export this to your game 1 folder. So you go down to where it says export after clicking file, and then you click on game 1 and then hit export. And as you see up top, it says name is bg.png. You didn't have to change that because you already saved it as an XCF. So hit export and hit it one more time, and there you go. So now you have a background. The next thing we need to do for this game is create object for the player to avoid. Let's make this 120 by 120. So now it's kind of small. So we got a background right here. We want to delete the standard background that comes with it. Before deleting it, let's go down to where you see the little page and plus. It says create new layer. Click that, and then you got a brand new layer. So let's zoom in a little bit. Now let's delete this background. So we go back over to the pencil, make sure we got white selected right here. You know, you might want to click on this foreground color to background, but yeah, flip that and use the color white. We're gonna go to the pencil, and your size might still kind of be a little big, but that's okay. This is just the object that the player is trying to avoid, so let's make this object. I'm gonna use the color black for my sake. So he's avoiding the squiggly little thing I just came up with. And then let's make it like a line, like let's make it like some type of fire or something. I don't know. Now we got the fire. Another thing to mention is that if you don't close off the openings in your character, your fill tools will paint right through it. So now let's select some of this because I made like a fire. Typically when I make fire, I kind of make like a separation. So this is a 2-part looking fire thing. So the first part I'm going to make like yellow. So this part of the fire is going to be yellow. Click on the paint bucket tool right here on your left hand side. If you haven't already selected the first part of the fire, make that yellow. Go to select tool, click on the inside of the fire, go back to the bucket tool, and let's fill this in with like red or something. So now we got the color red. Let's fill that in, and now we got the fire that's red and orange, or red and yellow, whatever that might be. So now that the object's done, the object the player has to avoid is complete. Let's save that. Let's save this as orb.xcf. and save it to the desktop. Next, you're going to export the org.png to the game1 folder. So make sure you click on that, click export, and now inside that folder you should see BG. But make sure you save that as org, because if you click on BG by accident, you might just erase it completely. So org.png and hit export. Even though that this is fire, we're going to call it an org. Hit export again. Now that we finished the org, let's make the final thing we need to do. We need to create a player. So click on new. We're gonna make this player 100 by 100. Alright, so now we got a 100 by 100 frame. Let's zoom in a little bit. This will be the same thing. Eventually, we're gonna delete this. So let's click on new layer real quick. Make a brand new one. Let's change our pencils back to a black pencil. So click over here, pencil, make sure it's back to black. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can get a good look at this. So we're gonna kind of make our own animation sheet. Now that we have our two layers, we need to make two separate layers. One for the player actually standing there, and the second layer is going to be for the actual animation. So let's go over to the very first layer. Let's draw like a Kirby looking character, but have him like leaning forward or something. So we got our little, our ugly dude real quick. We draw him leaning. Let's give him like a smirk or something. We're not gonna go all out with this. Give him some eyes. After that, we're going to click on the background to get rid of it, so we see what our character looks like without the background. There we go. So let's go up to the select tool. Click on the character's feet. Go back over, click on the bucket tool. Make sure that you got the color black selected, and fill in his feet, both of them, with the bucket tool. So now let's go back to his eyes. Fill his eyes in with black. And now let's click on his body, fill it in with the color white. You can just click on these little flip tools right here for a fast selection of the black and white colors, or you can actually search for it. So get the color white, click on the paint bucket, fill him in. So now he's like a little white Kirby ghost thingy. So let's go up to the next layer where it says layer 1, and let's click select on top on your left hand side, hit none. Now we're going to be real simple with this one. We're not going to go too in depth. So what we want to do is click on the pencil again. So this time let's go back to our size and let's change it to somewhere between a 5 and a 10, and then for the wing, let's make the wing like gray, because he doesn't really have much color. Let's start it like somewhere on his back. We're gonna make it like a little line, bring it out a little bit. There we go. So that's the first portion of this wing. Okay, the next thing I need you guys to do is to click on the file and then click new. And seeing that the character length is 100, but he's gonna have 3 animations, we need to change this. So instead of it being 100 and him having 3 animations, it needs to be 300, because 100 times 3 is 300. So now you got this long sheet. I'm not sure what color your background is labeled as at the moment, but eventually we're going to get rid of that. So let's go back to our character now. Let's go down to the background and delete it. That way we won't have any confusion. So now let's highlight the character by pressing Ctrl A, or you can go up to the select area, click on all, and go over to edit and click copy. After that, we want to paste them in here in all 3 positions. The first thing we need to do is go back to the document that says 300 by 100. You click on that, then you paste them in there with Ctrl V or paste. Now the character is going to be in the center of the page. The next thing you want to do is go over to the right hand side where it says floated, selected, pasted player. Go down to this green plus symbol. Let's click on that. Now he is an actual layer for the page. What we need to do is get rid of this background because you can barely see him. So let's go down to background and click that X. Now you can see the actual sprite. The next thing you're going to need to do is go up to your alignment tool. It's going to be on your left hand side next to the actual select tool for the rectangle and the circle, the ellipse, and then click on it. After that, make sure you click the character, that way you see 4 squares in all 4 corners of the actual character. Click on him, and then you see where it says offset X on the left hand side. You click in there, you want to make sure that number says 0. After that, go all the way up to where it says alignment, align, go down to right here at the first box. It says align left edge target and click on it. What that's going to do is put him in the 0 position out of the documents 300. So now that he's in that position, the next thing we can do now is just paste him again because we're using the same sprite once more. So you paste him in there, it says float and select tool. Go down again, click the green plus page. Now that's a brand new layer as well. So this time we want to change it to 100. But make sure you click on that character, the brand new one. And then instead of clicking on align left edge of target, you click on that very first box under distribute, and it's going to put him in the center. As you see, now he's in the center. And once again, we want to paste another character in there. He's going to be on the very top of that last character. Click the brand new layer page at the green box at the bottom. Make sure you click on the brand new character, and then offset, change that to 200. And click on distribute on the left hand side again, and now you have the character in the correct position. So what we want to do now is do the exact same thing for the wing. So what we want to do now is go back over to the character when he was a single character and get the wing, but we're going to change that around a little bit. So in this event, let's actually copy the wing. Let's highlight that wing. So Control A and Control C to copy and highlight all. Go back over to the sprite sheet and let's click on the alignment tool, click on that very first sprite, and then click paste. You notice the wing is over him now. So now we need to go down to the bottom, make this an actual layer. Go to the next character. So we want to highlight that and make sure it's over pasted layer number 1. So that wing is right there. Let's go back to the regular page. Let's hit Control A. Let's delete this wing. Let's go back to the pencil. What we're going to do is hit the delete button now. So now the wing is no more. Let's make a brand new wing. Let's kind of make it, instead of pointing upward, let's kind of make it go directly across because the wing's kind of going to be doing a flapping motion. So now we have that. So let's hit Control C to copy that. Let's go over to the very second one. Right now the yellow box should be surrounding pasted layer number 1 and paste on top of that. So now the wing's in a slightly different position. Hit the green plus for the create a new layer and add it to image button. So the very last sprite is now highlighted in the yellow box. Let's go back over to where we were drawing the wing. Let's delete that old wing. Let's draw the wing going downward now. So now the character has a wing that's going down. Let's copy that wing, Control A, Control C, and then paste it in there. And after that, let's make that layer to the actual page as well. So as you can see, we have an actual sprite sheet for the character now. The final thing we want to do is make a platform for him to stand on. So let's go ahead and save this. Let's go to save as. So now on the desktop, let's save him as player.xcf. After that, let's export him to the game 1 folder as player.png. Once that's finished, let's go ahead and make a brand new layer. Let's make this height 150. Let's make the width 850 because we want this to take up majority of the actual screen. For this right here, we're going to make this real easy. Right now, my screen is showing this as black and white. So what I'm going to do is kind of just decorate this background already. Take my pencil and just kind of draw like some type of platform real fast. So take that, separate the white with black, go across, wiggle it across a little bit, little markings and stuff to make the little ground. And after that, I'm going to do the same little marks on the bottom real quick, just because I want to look a little bit nicer, a little fancy. After that, let's go to our select tool, select the top portion of it. Let's make this like grass, so let's make it a greenish color. And then click the paint, fill it in, take the select again. Let's make the bottom part kind of brownish. So let's find a brown color, select that, and then fill it in. So now we want to save that platform as well. So let's just say the platform and call it ground. So ground.xcf. And then we need to export that ground as well. So let's go into File, New, and then let's click on Export. Make sure you go to Game 1 folder, then click Export so ground.png can be in there. So let's wrap this up. So the very first thing we did was learn about what a sprite sheet looks like. After that, we created an actual decent looking background to go along with the game. The next thing we did was create a little orb or some type of object for the character to try to avoid. After that, we went along and made the ground and the character sprite sheet. Hopefully you're ready to make this game in the next video. Take care.